Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
online streaming. Thank you. Members, agenda item 1, apologies. Are there any apologies from the floor? Not seeing any lights or... and the only apology that I have received is from Councillor Jude Mallon, and indeed, members, I think it's important that we send congratulations to Councillor Mallon in that he's just become a grandfather today for the very first time. It's a wee baby boy, I believe, so can we wish them all the very best? All right. No apologies from the floor, and at the moment, members, Councillor O'Hanlon is online. Agenda item number 2, declarations of interest. No lights, and of course, members, as is normal, we can declare any declarations as we go through. Agenda item 3, the business plans for the year. It's an information item at 3.1, but I'm going to hand over to the Director, Paul Amaki. Paul.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. You'll recall at last month's EDR committee, the business plans for 2025-26 were agreed, essentially looking forward. This month's business plan report is the end-of-year program progress report for 2024-25, essentially looking back on the previous 12 months' performance of the Development, Community and Wellbeing Directorate for 2024-25 up until the 31st of March. This report and appendices details the performance measures of both the economic development section and also the tourism, arts and culture section of the Directorate. And officers are here tonight to answer any queries members may have in relation to the end of year business plans progress report. We're happy to take any questions.
Okay, Paul, thank you for that. And I have currently 3 speakers. First up, Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you for bringing me in, Chair, and just to wish you congratulations on your new role and wishing you all the best for the next year as Chair of this committee. Thank you for this report, Paul and team. It's really good to see everything laid out on the achievements and the progress that we're making. My comment really is in particular in relation to events for the tourism team, and I just want to place my thanks and congratulations to the Rath Literary Festival, which was held at the weekend in Rathfriland. It was the first festival of this type to be brought to Rathfriland by community groups, particularly Rathfriland WEI, Rathfriland Regeneration and Hilltown Community Association. 7 events over one weekend, and it is a great asset to the events that our borough can offer, particularly when it's the first one of this kind in that area. So I just wanted to place on record my thanks. A point to note, I think, is that some of the events were held in Drumballarony Church, and that was really good to see that the Interpretive Centre and the church was open again for events, and certainly would encourage officers to work with the community associations there to try and work up options on how this could be open over the longer term. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Ferguson, thank you very much for your kind words. Paul.
I'd just like to thank Councillor Ferguson for her kind words actually in relation to the Literary Festival. We know that in working in partnership with communities across the borough is really important in terms of helping, I suppose, deliver events in a partnership. And so, listen, I thank you for those. Cheers.
Okay, thank you, Paul. The next speaker is Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair, and best wishes in your year in the role. I have a question in relation to the business plan for the Economic Development Department. If you go right down to the last page there, relating to workforce matters. Everything's in red, Chair. In terms of, there's been a substantive increase in the amount of days absent, almost nearly 20 on average for the year, and that's pretty poor quality. So I'd like to ask what's going on there that's caused that fairly sharp spike in absenteeism, because obviously is there an issue there in staff, and do we need to do more to support them staff and get them back and delivering for that team? So just if there's any details on that, because obviously it's all in red there, which naturally catches the eye.
Okay, Councillor Larry, thank you for that. Going to bring in Head of Economic Development, Nicola Wilson. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Chair, and Councillor Lavery. Thank you so much for your question. You're absolutely right. Our absence levels are a bit of a concern, and I have said there within the main body of the report on page number 3, I've said there that absence levels remain a challenge. As you say, some of the quarters are particularly high, but then other quarters are below the target. With a small team, any absence really skews the figures as well. I have 24 members in the team, so even if 1 or 2 people are off absent for various reasons, it does bring our percentage up quite high. But we have been making inroads to it. We're keeping it under review. We're working within the absence policy to try to bring that down.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. Councillor Lavery, you happy with that? Members, just before I bring in the next speaker, we now have Alderman Tinsley online and Councillor Ashley Mallon online, in addition to Councillor O'Hanlon. So, next speaker, Councillor Ian Wilson.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your elevation to chair of this committee. This is my first meeting as sitting on the Economic Development Committee. I just want to ask a wee question, just on the Economic Development Department there, in this information item. The lack of quality workspace and access to economic development lands in the borough severely limits the number of small and medium enterprises that can grow and create employment opportunities. Just in relation to the Guildford Mill project, I know it's a private development, but are we as a council in contact with the developer? Are we doing anything to support them to encourage investment in the area and see how we could assist to move the project forward? Are we involved in that at all? Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Wilson, thank you again for your kind remarks. I think we're going to hand this over to Nicola to take. Nicola, yeah.
Thank you for the question. Oh, there we are now, yes. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Councillor Wilson. Yes, I believe officers have been out to Guildford Mill. Now, I haven't been out myself, but I know that the Director, Elizabeth Rainey, has been out, and I know that Elaine from my team has also been out. But in general terms, we are always so keen to work with any private sector developer who wants to support SMEs through building infrastructure that supports SMEs. So every time there is an opportunity, we will always support that, whether it's in rural areas, whether it's in villages or towns, or indeed the city centre as well. So we will always be encouraging that.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Wilson, are you happy with that? Okay, members, next up is Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Chair, and it's good to see you in that chair as well. Just be associated with those comments. Wish you well for the year. I know you've hit the ground running. You've already been at events already today, so it's good to see you in the position as Chair of Economic Development. I suppose just a question, and you mightn't have the answer for me, because I'm maybe straying into HR territory here. When we look at the absence figures in the business plan, I was just sort of asked a question today actually about long-term absence, because that can skew the figures quite a bit. And a wee bit of confusion, I suppose, just for myself. I don't know if you'll have the answer in terms of the time frame for is it after 20 days long-term absence, or is it 8 weeks? because I've been told both figures today and I'm not sure which one's right. And you mightn't know the answer, but maybe you can get that for me if you don't.
Okay, Alderman Baxter, and again, thank you for your kind words. Nicola, I think, is going to fill this one. Thank you, Nicola.
Have the answer either, but what I will endeavour to do is to go back to the policy just to clarify it and to check with HR to see what is deemed long-term absence. And you're absolutely right, long-term absence can skew figures as well.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. Alderman Baxter, you want...
Just a quick follow-up then, and I know this raised its head last night at committee as well in terms of the way the figures are sort of presented to us. I know Alderman Tinsley's been calling for a long time to have it broke down so that it's maybe easier for members to understand and get a handle on absenteeism. So just maybe if that could be fed back as well. I know it was brought up at the committee again last night. But lots of positive stuff in here too, so it's not always negative. And I said this last night as well. Sometimes when we're looking at these business plans, we always take out the red and the ambers and really go to town on that, but there's lots of positive stuff there as well. And we'll go back to the Food Heartland again, winning that award, as it mentioned there, the best, the past decade award at the NI Local Government Awards in 2025, I think. That speaks for itself, speaks volumes. That's right across countrywide over 10 years. So things like that are very, very positive, but we're always sort of just drawn towards, whenever these come to committee, these red signs on the right-hand side. So really, I just have to be mindful too that there's lots of good stuff goes on in the department. So all credit to Paul and Nicola and Brian and everybody and all your teams for all the continued hard work that you do throughout the year as well. Thank you.
Yes, okay, Alderman Baxter. Yes, absolutely agree with you. There is loads of very positive stuff. So again, well done to all of the teams involved. Next, now, I'm going to bring in Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And just, I suppose, as best I can to answer some of Alderman Baxton's queries, there is a P&A report coming next month that details each directorate and probably gets down into those finer details about absence. And that's coming next week to Performance and Audit Committee. We'll have a lot more detail. My understanding in terms of long-term absence, now I'm going to double check this and come back to you, but my understanding is it's a 4-week period and that's 4 working weeks as I understand it, so 20 days, then considered long-term absence. But listen, let me come back and clarify that for you, and but that's my understanding at this stage.
Okay, Paul, thank you so much for that. Next, I have Alderman Ian Burns.
Thank you, Chair, and all the best for your year in office. We look forward to working along with you. Just following on from what Councillor Wilson said, I had a meeting with Guildford Mill owners a couple of weeks ago, and progress is very slow. They have great plans for the mill, and they would appreciate any help that the council officers can give them in bringing that to fruition. Thank you.
Okay, really, again, appreciate the comments. Paul or Nicola, do you want to have enough? Yeah. All right. Well, so given that, then Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. And again, I wish to congratulate you on reaching the office of Chair of this committee, and wish you all of the best for the year ahead. A lot of good reports. There's a lot of good stuff in the report. There's the odd red line here and there. And I suppose one thing we've heard it mentioned here about the staffing and that, and the staffing levels, what effect does that have on the delivery of programmes? And that, I don't expect the answer here tonight, but that will have a knock-on effect on the delivery of programmes that we are doing. And whenever we take a look at the active travel there, I know it's pure red, and we see that it's DFI and DFC that's sort of holding that up. Now that's an active travel programme that's been carried over from the last term. So that's, but I suppose one there too, we'll take a look at the Rural Settlements Programme and the market strategy for the borough, and all of that there. There's concerns there. I know the council, our staff are working extremely hard to deliver out on those, but with sort of external issues here as well, you know, with all our departments is restricting us on the delivery, but also that our level of staff does, I'm sure, have a knock-on effect to the delivery of a lot of these programmes, and that's something that we need to address going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and again, Councillor Savage, thank you for your kind words. Going to bring in Paul.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Savage, for your query. I mean, undoubtedly, absenteeism will have an impact on delivery, particularly around, I suppose, time to get temporary replacements, all those sorts of things as well. But I suppose another impact that also, another issue that does have an impact is, I suppose, fixed-term contracts and short-term contracts and stuff like that. We're often related to funding, and I suppose announcements of funding only coming in year for us to be able to carry on appointments. We've actually worked quite hard with that, certainly in the Economic Development Department, to get that continuity of staff to continue and carry on. We've been able to certainly work through that in the last 12 months, and we've probably had better staff continuity than we've ever had before in terms of staff being back, and plus also addressing some of those absenteeism issues. But undoubtedly, when we do have absenteeism, it does have an impact, not just on economic development, but probably all my directorate particularly. In terms of, I suppose, a couple of programs you mentioned there, certainly the active travel, small settlements. Yes, I suppose probably absenteeism has also had an impact on the delivery of that program. However, we're happy to say that, as you see on the agenda tonight, we'll hopefully get a positive approval of that tonight and move through and hopefully get that kicked off and finished. So appreciate your queries on that.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much. Going to bring in Councillor Ashley Mallon online. Councillor Mallon, can you hear us? Okay, members, we'll hopefully at some point soon Councillor Mallon will get back on. So in the meantime, I have to move on. Agenda item 4, so it's a report from the Head of Economic Development. There's 3 information items at 4.1, 4.2 and 4.3. Happy to take any questions, any queries, any comments that members may have. Council, and just before I bring members in, at the start of the contribution, if they can identify which information item they are wanting to speak on. Councillor O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation.
You're breaking up, Councillor O'Hanlon.
To the letter of for the
You're still breaking up. You're still breaking up, Councillor O'Hanlon. Sorry.
Market partnership. Okay.
Unfortunately, Councillor O'Hanlon, we caught very, very little of that. Sorry, if you could give it another try, please. Councillor O'Hanlon, can you hear us?
I can, Chair, just to declare an interest in item number 1 in relation to Labour Market Partnership as Chair of the Appleby Trust in Armagh, which receives funding and delivers part of a programme for Council.
Okay, Councillor O'Hanlon, thank you so much. That was very clear. Yeah. I'm not seeing members any other requests to speak. So given that, we'll move on. Agenda item 5, report from the Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture. And we have 2 decision items. And Vincent is going to do item 5.1.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Item 5.1 is relating to an offer from the Heritage Lottery Fund managed by Art Fund for a grant of up to £190,600. This is towards a 5-year project, an arts-based, community-focused programme in conjunction with, from Armagh's point of view, Armagh County Museum, Effie McWilliam Gallery and Museum, and the Marketplace. And we'll be working in conjunction with Aberdeenshire Museums and the Open Eye Gallery in Liverpool. And the intention would be to engage with local communities, enhance cultural access and promote heritage appreciation across the entire borough. And it will culminate in 2 large-scale touring exhibitions which will tour to Aberdeenshire and Liverpool, as well as reciprocal exhibitions coming to our borough from those 2 places. The Going Places network, there's an overall fund of 5.36 million across the whole of the UK, of which 542,000 has been allocated to our specific network. But the decision tonight is to request approval to accept the funding from Art Fund for up to 190,600 for our particular borough.
Okay, Vincent, thank you for that report. First speaker I have is Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to pass on my thanks to Vincent and the team, because I know it's been outlined in the report. There's been a lot of effort to get the project to this stage, and I think that would be a well-seen investment in the borough to highlight, our rich cultural diversity. So I'm happy to propose the recommendation that we accept that £190,000 approx funding.
Okay, Councillor Lavery, thank you for that. Members, it is a decision item, so we have a proposer. Okay, seconded by Councillor Kevin Savage. All agreed, members? Okay, thank you. Moving on, item 5.2, Tourism Northern Ireland 25-26 letter of offer for the Georgian Festival. I'm going to bring in Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. And as the Chair alluded to, this relates to a letter of offer received from Tourism Northern Ireland for the Georgian Festival this year. Over the past number of years, the Tourism NI had previously had a national events fund, of which we were able to draw down funding from. That was subsequently, with funding cuts, removed. So the only fund that we can apply for within Tourism Northern Ireland is for an international events fund, and the only event of scale that we can apply for that the council runs is Georgian Festival in Armagh. So the team put in a really good effort and made an application for a very competitive process, and again have been awarded £30,000. So the decision this evening before members is recommended members accept the letter of offer from Tourism NI for £30,000 towards the enhancement of Armagh Georgian Festival. And again, it's important to note in the letter of offers attached It is about additionality and enhancement, and the focus is to be on overnight stays and increased tourism expenditure. So the decisions before members. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, thank you so much for that. And just as you were about halfway through, my screen went absolutely mad here. So there's about 7 speakers. So first up, Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Brian and his team for the good work that they do in around Georgian Day. I'm happy to propose this on that, on the back of the work that I seen last year firsthand up around visiting Georgian Day, and even the control room, and just on top of everything else that people don't see, the effort and the work that goes into this from our team, and congratulations on getting this. And it's good to see. And we got, excuse me, sorry, apologies. I know we got a report earlier on one of the committees previous about the figures and the numbers and all of that. We're not going to rehearse that tonight, but just want to congratulate you on that, Brian. And I know, I suppose, just to put a wee footnote into it as well, I know at one committee that we did propose and was passed about looking at signature events within each DEA, and I hope that's still on your agenda going forward. And it's great to see Armagh rising to the top here, but we need to bring the rest of our DEAs with it as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Savage, thank you. I guess there's no question in there, really. No, you're... Brian?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Savage, for the kind words. Yes, and there is a paper later on in the agenda looking at the events review, and I know the focus has been around a certain aspect of the events review, and I think that is the signature events is on the agenda for the Fence Working Group.
Councillor Savage, you want to supplementary?
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me back in there. No, it's specifically the signature events I asked about, Brian. I know the events working group and all, everything is going on there, but we really need to pick this up about signature events within each DA, as at the end of the day it was passed by full committee here and full council, so it's the progress report. If you can't bring that tonight, I'm happy to wait for that at a date not too far away from now. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Savage, thank you. Councillor Brand, you have that noted. Before bringing the next speaker, Councillor Ashley Mallon has rejoined us. Going to bring in Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon now.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, for the report. Look, happy to second and just welcome the work that's happened over the last number of years about extending the footprint of the festival down around the Shambles area, and in particular the inclusion of some of the events for like a quiet time around the fun fair and stuff. But just wanted to welcome the funding, and obviously look forward to seeing the programme come forward then for December 2025. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Hanlon, thank you for that. My next speaker on the list here is Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, for bringing this report. This is an event that the Tourist Board or Northern Ireland Tourism should be funding, so it is really good to see that they've come in and provided this support for the Georgian Festival. My comment just would be on the objectives that they're asking you to achieve, which do seem quite ambitious. Which is linked to the funding that they would provide. And you can see those listed here in the letter of offer, which is a minimum of 30,000 visitors, 1,000 participants. These are all particularly high for events, and particularly the commercial bed nights, which is 800 commercial bed nights, when there's probably only around 1,200, 300 bed nights in the entire ABC Borough area. So I'm just wondering your opinion on really the ambitious level of those terms and conditions that they've laid out here, and do you have any concerns in meeting these with the Georgian Festival, which might affect this funding?
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. I'm going to bring in Brian.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson, for your question. And you're right, the objectives are high, and I think that was the nature of the fund in that it was international events. So, you know, typically we have surpassed the 30,000 visitors each year. Again, commercial bed nights, there's also, we have looked at different initiatives around camper vans, and so again, there is areas set aside for that now. And again, I'm convinced, again, based on previous metrics, that we can deliver on that figure. And the participants, again, that is in and around the ballpark for where we've been. So I think, but this is, again, is about elevating and pushing on. So there will be a lift, you're right, in commercial bed nights, probably in previous years to achieve that target, but I am convinced we can achieve the target. And, you know, we have the resource in terms of the budget and the people to deliver it. So, yes, thank you.
Councillor Ferguson, are you content with that reply at this stage? Okay. Going around Councillor Ian Wilson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, for the report. Any investment in the borough is always welcome, but we have an event happening in Banbridge this weekend, which is a Busk Fest, and I really think, and it probably follows on from Councillor Savage's point about, you know, standout events in each DEA. I honestly think that the Busk Fest could be something could be built on and progressed every year, and hopefully we could reach the levels of the Georgian Festival. Is there any funding that we receive for the Busk Fest, or anything we could do to advance that and push that on and make it grow in the future, in the coming years? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Brian?
Thank you, Councillor Wilson, for your question. I think with all of the events, we do aspire to grow the events each year. And I know last year was an anniversary for Buskfest, and we had Ryan McMullen, and again, moved the event into the town centre, which was welcomed by the traders. So everything is about, as Georgian Day is, it's about trying to generate additional economic income into the town centre and drive footfall. But as I mentioned previously, fundamentally a lot of the next tier events, like the Food and Cider Festival, like Bus Fest, like the Blues Festival, would have availed of the likes of the Tourism NI national funding, and that was removed. So, but as Councillor Savage has alluded to in the events working group, we have committed to looking at the signature events across the borough. So in short time, we'll bring back a report as to how we can grow and progress these events. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, thank you, Councillor Wilson. You happy with that? So no current speaker requests. So members, that was proposed from memory by Councillor Kyle Savage and seconded by Councillor Tommy O'Hanlon. Agreed, members? All right, thank you. Agenda item 6, correspondence. There's been none has been notified. I'm now going to seek a proposer and a seconder to go into committee for the consideration of confidential items of business. Alderman Baxter, Alderman Greenfield, thank you. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act exempt information, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential session of this meeting can proceed? getting the thumbs up. Thank you. Agenda item 8. Any other relevant business? None has been notified to me. So, members, we are good to go. That's us finished. So, thank you for your participation. Good night.